Now we're going to talk about mufflers. At one time there were really very few choices. Now, as you can see, there's quite a few choices. Each one has a unique sound, and each of them will affect performance in some way. Let's start off with the standard metal can. This is what you'll get with a standard RC Zenoa motor. It's pretty simple, doesn't have a lot of baffling in it. It's the lightest. It weighs 5 ounces without the mount bolts. It has a very obnoxious and awful sound to it. It will make people at your field not like you. This is the Century V5. This is the latest version of their, I guess this is a Torpedo, large size. It weighs 13 ounces. It's also a little bit unique in that it has the ability to put in some screw-in reducers in the back. This changes the back pressure of the muffler. It also changes the sound of the muffler. It has a rather throaty sound to it. It's a little bit on the heavy side, but nice looking. This is the Torpedo Slim. This is version 2, the latest one. It also has the ability to thread in some reducers. These also change back pressure, sound, and performance. Actually, I found on this size motor, this affects the way it runs at high RPMs. It seems to work okay on the smaller 20 size, however. Okay, now we've got the Hattori mufflers. They're a little unique in that they mount with a 2-piece system. They require this rather large and heavy stainless steel plate to be bolted to the motor, and then the muffler bolts onto that. This is the SAB-12. It's also known as the Hattori 957. It weighs a little over 11.5 ounces. It's for rear-facing motors, so it's got a little bit more of a nose on it. It's got a very pleasant sound. Depending on the displacement of your motor, it can enhance the performance. It's a very nice muffler. It's quite expensive. Finally, we have the 956, which is the SAB-12 F2. This is for, it's actually for forward-facing motors, but it'll work on this as well. It's the heaviest of the bunch, 13.5 ounces, ready to bolt on. It's got a really nice sound to it. It's also the highest volume of any of these. I measured the internal volume using some liquid, and it's got quite a bit more volume than any of the others. So if you're using a large displacement motor, you might want to consider this. Also not a cheap muffler. It's got a good sound though. Alright, now I want to show you how they mount on the model and what, if any, interference points there might be. There is one more muffler that I don't actually have, so I'll have to tell you about it. It's the RJX gas muffler. It's almost identical to the SAB-12 Hattori. It's a little bit heavier. It's made out of different material. Sounds a little bit different. Performs fairly well. And mounts in the exact same way using the stainless steel adapter. Here's how the standard steel can muffler fits on the model. You can see there's plenty of clearance on the side. However, there's a problem with the canopy. It actually interferes right here in this corner, so you'll need to trim the canopy a little bit if you want to use this muffler. This is the Century V5. It has a nice balanced look to it. Also, it clears the canopy without any problem whatsoever. This is the Century Torpedo V2 mounted. You can see that it extends out the back of the model slightly, but still has a good balanced look. It also interferes slightly with the canopy right here, so you'd need to trim just slightly to address that. The Hattori mufflers and the RJX muffler are a little unique, and they have a two-piece mount. They have this steel, actually it's a stainless steel plate that mounts onto the cylinder first. And then the muffler bolts onto that plate. This is the SAB-12 designate in the United States. It's also known as the 957. It's a rear-facing, it's for rear-facing engines, so the nose of the muffler sticks out a little more than one you'll see in a moment. It's got a nice balanced look, and it completely clears the canopy and airframe without any problem. And here's the SAB-12 F2 designate, also the Hattori 956. This is made actually for forward-facing motors, so there's a much shorter extension in the front and it's much longer in the back. This easily clears the canopy and chassis. Okay, that pretty much covers the section on mufflers. If you'd like to hear what these sound like, if you'll visit my forum at www.gaspoweredthoughts.com, I have recordings and sound readings of most of them, so you can get an idea what they sound like in operation. Okay, let's move on to the next step.